A man walks into a room. No cameras, no press, no announcement. Just a table, a conversation, and a sport holding its breath. McLaren, Ferrari, the FIA, all in the same room, and none of them looking comfortable. Because behind every highlight reel of the season, behind every close battle and dramatic overtake, something is quietly breaking, and the people who built this Formula One already know it. So here's the question no one is asking out loud. If one of the most respected team bosses in the paddock doesn't trust Ferrari enough to go back, what does that tell us about Ferrari's future? And if the cars are already failing their drivers after just 3 races, what exactly did Formula One unleash in 2026? Let's start with Andrea Stella, McLaren team principal, back-to-back Constructors' champion, the man who turned Lando Norris into a world champion and rebuilt an entire team from the inside out. Ferrari chairman John Elkann wants him badly. Reports from the paddock suggest Elkann has been exploring a bold leadership move, targeting Stella specifically because of his Italian roots, his technical expertise, and his modern leadership qualities. On paper, it makes sense. Stella spent over a decade at Ferrari early in his career. He worked alongside Schumacher, alongside Raikkonen. He knows the culture, the pressure, the politics of Maranello. But here's where the story cracks open. Because according to journalist Bianca Garloff on the F1 Insider podcast, Stella is not going back. Not because of loyalty to McLaren, but because he doesn't believe Ferrari currently offers the conditions needed to achieve meaningful success. Let that sit for a second. A man who knows Ferrari from the inside, who lived and breathed that culture, is looking at today's Maranello and saying, not yet, not now. His concern? Leadership instability. Since the passing of Sergio Marchionne and the departure of Luca de Montezemolo, Ferrari has struggled to maintain consistent direction at the very top. And Stella, according to insiders, is aware that replicating what he's built at McLaren would be significantly harder at Ferrari. This isn't speculation. This is someone who built a championship-winning machine from scratch, choosing to stay exactly where he is. But that was just the beginning of Ferrari's difficult April. Because while the leadership story was unfolding in the paddock, something far more secretive was happening at a private circuit outside Modena. On April 9th and 10th, Lewis Hamilton completed 297 laps at Ferrari's private Fiorano circuit. 884 kilometers, 3 full race distances, in artificially flooded conditions. Fred Vasseur wasn't on a call, wasn't in the motorhome. He was physically in the garage, every lap. The official story? A Pirelli tire test, wet weather data, routine. Except nothing about 884 kilometers is routine. A typical Pirelli test produces 100 to 150 laps per day. Hamilton averaged 148. And here's the detail most reports missed. Charles Leclerc wasn't in the car. Ferrari's #1 driver, currently 3rd in the championship, spent both days in the simulator, in technical meetings, working on something else entirely. So Pirelli got their tire data, but Ferrari got something more, because every lap Hamilton completed was a lap of real-world engine data. The SF26's energy management software behaves differently on a wet, low-grip surface. The harvesting algorithm, the code deciding when to recover electrical energy and at what rate, responds differently when the car is sliding, when brake inputs change, when the driver is managing grip rather than chasing lap time. 884 kilometers of that data is worth more than any simulator session, and Ferrari are bringing a completely revised energy management software package to Miami. Hamilton's lap time tells the real story. Day 1, 1 minute 01.031 seconds. Day 2, 1 minute 00.740 seconds. Same circuit, same artificial irrigation, same wet conditions, but nearly 3/10 faster. That improvement didn't come from the track drying out, it came from somewhere else. The engineers were adjusting something between sessions. Hamilton, with 12 years at Mercedes and 2 at Ferrari, more time inside more power unit environments than any active driver alive, was validating those adjustments with his times. And his feedback wasn't just telemetry, it was feel, where the power curve dropped unexpectedly, where the harvesting intervention was intrusive, where the new algorithms were fighting rather than supporting his inputs. That data now feeds directly into Ferrari's Monza filming day on April 22nd, officially 200 kilometers of promotional running. But Monza was chosen deliberately. Long, flat-out straights, minimal braking zones, sustained high-speed sections that stress energy harvesting and deployment the same way Miami's back straight will. If the new software works at Monza, it works anywhere. If it doesn't, Ferrari has less than 10 days to adjust before Florida. Both Hamilton and Leclerc will drive at Monza. Comparative data, new algorithms, and the revised Macarena rear wing, the rotating system promising 5 to 10 kilometers per hour of straight-line gain, will also run for the first time after its original version caused Hamilton's spin at Shanghai. Monza on April 22nd is not a filming day. It is a final exam, and Fiorano was the study. But zoom out, because while Ferrari was completing 3 race distances in secret, the FIA was sitting in a very different kind of room. On April 9th, the exact same day Hamilton started his first lap at Fiorano, the FIA and team engineers gathered for what may become one of the most important meetings of this new era, not to celebrate the 2026 rules, to question them. The FIA admitted it themselves, and I quote, "It was generally agreed that although the events to date have provided exciting racing, there was a commitment to making tweaks to some aspects of the regulations in the area of energy management. Exciting racing, but still not right. That contradiction is the heart of the 2026 story, because what fans haven't seen clearly is the invisible struggle inside every car, the energy fight, the moment a driver becomes vulnerable. Cars running out of electric energy don't just slow down a little, they become targets, massive speed differentials, split-second decisions, no room for error. We already saw where that leads, a major accident involving Oliver Bearman in Japan, a warning shot for the entire sport. So now the FIA has set a countdown. April 15th, sporting rules. April 16th, technical experts. April 20th, team bosses, FIA leaders, F1 executives, all in one room. And whatever comes out of that meeting goes straight to the FIA World Motorsport Council for ratification, all before Miami. The gap to Mercedes sits at 45 points in the Constructors' Championship, 25 horsepower in engine output. Ferrari can't close the hardware gap in April, but 884 kilometers of data from Fiorano is how they begin to close the software gap. And if the FIA's tweaks shift the energy regulations before Miami, the entire playing field changes overnight. Scenario 1. Ferrari's new software works at Monza. The Macarena wing clears its final validation. Hamilton and Leclerc arrive in Miami with a car that finally unlocks what the SF26 was always meant to be, and the gap to Mercedes starts to close, fast. Scenario 2. The FIA's energy tweaks arrive before Miami, and Ferrari's 884 kilometers of preparation suddenly becomes the most valuable data in the paddock, because they saw this coming. They prepared for exactly this moment. While everyone else was watching the race results, Ferrari was already solving the next problem. Scenario 3. The tweaks aren't enough. The deeper issues remain, and Andrea Stella, watching from McLaren, quietly nods, because this is exactly why he didn't go back. Dynasties don't fall from outside pressure. They fall when the problems inside become too big to tweak away. Did Ferrari just run the most important secret test of the entire 2026 season and nobody noticed? Can the FIA patch a rulebook fast enough to protect drivers? Or is Miami about to prove that Formula One has a problem it can't tweak its way out of? And if one of the smartest men in the paddock looked at Ferrari and decided to stay away, what does the rest of this season tell us about who's really in control? If you made it this far, you already know. This season isn't about who's fastest. It's about who survives what's coming. So tell me, is Ferrari finally ready? Or are we watching the calm before something much bigger breaks?